Sup, nerds? I'm Aaron.
I'm Wes.
I'm Tom.
We're at Everboard Gaming, and today we are crafting dice in Dice Forge.
Could have said forging dice, but you know.
All right, so in Dice Forge, you're going to be moving around the map, going to places and spending money and
Gems.
these different gems. You have a moonstone and a sunstone, and you're going to spend them to buy cards and buy upgrades. The coolest thing is dice. Like every game that has dice, I love
Just dice. It has dice. That's cool.
Yeah, these dice are upgradable, so you're going to be changing out the faces on the dice, and that's why it's called Dice Forge, because you're forging new dice. But everybody's going to be rolling the dice on everybody's turn, collecting the resources that you get, so either getting the gold or the different gems, the stones.
Or you could get points too.
Yeah, there's victory points. And then,
or special abilities.
Right.
And then on your turn, you're going to move wherever you want to move and spend your stuff to upgrade. And ultimately, the goal is to get a lot of victory points, but you're going to have to upgrade your dice to get new abilities. There's things you can use for multipliers and to copy players, all kinds of cool stuff.
So you're just trying to pick a... So with the forging of the dice, you kind of like pick a strategy or two and you roll with it. Oh! I just made that up. Oh my God. Comedy Central, if you want to hire me, I'm available. But you're going to be upgrading these faces. And now obviously, like you said, since you only get the thing once you roll it, you kind of have to try and mitigate your luck. Like, do I want to get 2 3s or do I want to get the 6? You know, because that way, maybe the 6 would come up on less often, but when it does, it's awesome. But, you know, I could split the 3 between these 2 dice. And then there's also the factor of, which dice do I want to upgrade? Because you kind of want to spread the wealth, so that way you roll the stuff. But then there are some things that trigger, like we'll let you re-roll 1 die. Well, you want to have a good die then to re-roll, don't you?
Yeah, with that, I almost want to make the 1 die kind of better, and then put if you can get re-rolls on this die, but make this die really good. So hopefully you're re-rolling this die because you wouldn't want to re-roll your die that you haven't put a lot of work into forging.
One minor complaint that I'm going to start off with is actually, picking these off. It says that you can use the side of the next tile, and that is possible, but they do kind of...
You got it upside down.
See, it was kind of...
The
way it flung out like that?
The complaint, though, I would much rather it be a little bit harder to get them off than, roll and all your dice, pop off and stuff.
Agreed. However, and you can put... If you have this game, you can put in the comments whether this was a thing or not. The first time I played this game, I played a friend's copy. And they had a little tool. They had this little, I don't know, it was like a plastic toothpicky thing, but it was clearly, it's not a toothpick, it was clearly designed. Maybe it's something for Legos, but I know that the Lego has those actual, little things that, that stick in and then pop out. But this copy doesn't have it. So maybe we got an older copy, or maybe they took a tool from something else and put it in there. Maybe they ripped off a Barbie leg and shaved it down or something, I don't know. But
Shiv. Because
I played with that, I was like, oh... Whether this is a thing or not, it should be. There should be a little thing, because using the corner, I'm worried that I'm going to start peeling off this sticker. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So your complaint is a hypothetical, not a...
No. My complaint is that there was a solution to this, right? They could have put a tool in here.
Or Tom could just whine less. So probably the biggest draw of Dice Forge, besides the fact that you get to build the dice, and that's a really cool mechanic in the game, is how fast moving and how no downtime there is in the game, because you're rolling your dice every single turn, so it's not like you're waiting for it to go on the table and come back to you. You're constantly rolling and collecting resources. And even if I go here and I'm going to do this thing, there's typically some time where the game can keep moving without me, whether it's I'm deciding which place to put the which face to change out of my die. I have to pick what I buy first, but even then the game can keep moving on.
Yeah, well, unless you get specifically a die that would copy somebody else's die, so that would be relevant when the other person is rolling. Other than that, there are a lot of times when I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this and this. Okay, you guys can go ahead and roll. And it'll almost be I'll be like, okay, I got him face. Wait, how many rolls did I miss? Oh, it's your turn? Okay, 1, 2, there we go.
Once you start to get into I have this 1 die face that lets me copy your dice, then you do have to kind of everybody wait up. But there was a couple times where we played, just go on without me. I'm going to fix this dice real quick.
And that can create problems if you have someone who has to get up, go to the bathroom, or take a phone call like I did when we were playing this game, because then everyone's waiting. We're waiting on you. We can't do anything without you here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a catch-22 with the do something on everybody's turn thing.
But I'd much rather like the rare time someone has to get up for a second than the rest of the time the game is just you're constantly doing stuff.
Right. One complaint that a friend of mine made, and I kind of agree with it to a small degree. He goes, dude, the game is just, get whatever you roll, buy the most expensive thing you can, and then get whatever you roll again, buy the most expensive thing you can, and get points. And I was like, well, I agree with that to an extent in that there is strategy, but in the grand scheme of games, strategy is relatively minimal. Damn it, it's relatively minimal in that you do have to choose what you're getting, but you're pretty limited to the amount of gold that you have and the strategy for which you want to go. Like there are some tiles here that you may be looking at and say, well, that's really not going to be valuable to me at all because I don't have a good thing that I want to triple, or because this person that nobody else here has something I would want to copy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And it's a risk management thing too. Like you could very well just be like, no, I'm just going to buy all the faces that get me more money and more rubies, and then I can go and buy all the cards, and that's a pretty solid strategy, but it is ultimately a little boring.
Yeah, and it's like the strategy in it is not like the best way to work with what you have. It's more of like picking what route you want to go. Do you want to go and just like fight the big guys the whole time? Like, I just want to get a bunch of reds and blues just to fight these guys. Or do I want to do a lot of copying or just get a lot of things that give me victory points? And so it's finding the best combination that works really well, and kind of what Tom said, you enjoy playing. Because there definitely could be a like superior way to do it, but you're like, yeah, it's boring. I prefer, even if I don't necessarily win or I don't crush as much, to do this other way that's more fun.
There's definitely a lot of like opportunity costs that you have to manage in this game. Where you're like, okay, if right now I'm almost maxed out on my moon gems, do I go spend them, or should I go buy like the last of this other upgrade so that I can get more of something? Like, because you have to pick and choose. You're like, well, what are the chances that I'm gonna roll 4 more moonstones and like bust past my limit and not be able to hold them? Like, that's the thing you have to like think about, because you're like, okay, I'm at 5. If I had 6, I could go for that big guy. Do I want to just spend the 5 and get whatever upgrade is out there, or do I go spend gold, or just spend my sun shards? Like, that is the biggest thing. Like, yes, there is a lot of luck in like what you roll when you roll, but you definitely have to like make some decisions, which are really interesting ones. And there's like, I love the upgrade where you can extend what you can hold. Like, that is probably one of the best things you should get early game, because towards the end of the game, you're definitely getting up in 5, 6, 7, 8, of the gems. And if you don't have the extra holding space, you're going to be, kind of rolling like, oh, well, I can't store anymore.
It's actually kind of funny that you say that, because one of the other complaints that I do have is there are a lot of these cards are interchangeable. You swap them out a whole bunch, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty certain I remember looking and seeing that the upgrade tile thing wasn't a replaceable one. There was no other one that could go there, which is a little annoying in the fact that it's so essential to the game. Like, in theory, you don't have to get it, but you really should. Especially because there's 4 of them, and in a 4-player game, like there was one game I played where one dude bought 2 before I could buy 1, and first of all, he even admitted, he's like, yeah, I didn't really use that second one. Like, I never went that far on the tracks, and like not being able to go that far, having that limit, especially when everybody else didn't have that limit, was a pretty big hindrance on me. So, and I know there's an expansion coming out. I would like to see in that expansion something to replace the 1, so we could play a game where we all just start with that extender and kind of have a more hardcore version, which I guess kind of leads into my second complaint. I do feel like the game ends a little bit too soon. Like was it 9 rounds and 2 and 4 and 3 rounds, 10 rounds in a 3-player? Like, and it's kind of the same thing with like Gizmos, where I feel like they just found the point where once you reach this power level, like everybody's rolls and all the stuff is going to be so crazy. You're starting to get like too many points too fast and starts to get like ridiculous.
Yeah, I definitely had points in the game where like it got to my turn and I had a ton of stuff I could do and options, and I had tons of resources, and I'd spend a bunch of them. And especially in a 4-player game, by the time it got back to me again, I had all those resources back again. So there was no like cooldown of like, all right, well, this round I'm going to try this little thing. Especially with some of these big baddies you can fight that let you roll more dice again and then fight the other big baddies. And like, those kind of things, right? I do see where they were coming from, or where we're assuming they're coming from, and that, all right, the game's kind of plateaued at this point. It's just like everyone's doing everything, and it doesn't really matter. There's no catching up from here because we're all so far ahead.
Yeah, but I'd still like to play a game where we go like a round, like maybe 2 rounds after the recommended amount, just to see how crazy it would get.
Or make it a race to a certain amount of victory points. Like
that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like first
just,
one to 200 or something.
Yeah. It would just be like who can make the best die for, and
buy
up a certain amount of cards even.
Quickest, because I did feel like in some of the games, like even if like, oh well, Aaron bought this and now he's crushing it. Like a couple of runs later, I have a good engine built up too, and it almost didn't matter. Like you definitely want the best engine as soon as possible, but it almost like didn't matter if he got it a round ahead of me or something because like,
luck of the dice.
Luck of the dice, and when you maxing out your resources, like oh well, now Aaron's able to get 9 or 10 of these blue moonstones every turn, but you can only store 9, so it doesn't really matter that he's getting so much more.
Even though I did just list a couple complaints there, those are pretty minor to the fact that I really, really enjoy Dice Forge. Like, I played it once and went, oh my god, I need this in my collection. And that doesn't happen a lot, especially because by now, I'm pulling back on that, I need this in my collection. I'm more like, do I really need this in my collection? Like, I'm just running out of space, But it's... And while I do agree with it's not super strategic, I think that's a big part of why I like it. Because you can sometimes almost kind of turn your brain off and just kind of have fun and just get the resources and go and buy some stuff. And, just have a really chill... There is strategy, but it's not super crunchy. And there's really aren't that prone to analysis paralysis in this game. So it goes really fast. There are so many things in the positives for me. Again, it's not going to be for everybody. For like the really heavy Euro gamers, this probably won't be complex enough. But this is kind of that middle road, middle America. It's going to appeal to so many people that it's such a great thing to have in my collection. Because again, it's great for new people too, because it's not an intro game, but it's pretty easy to get.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this game. There's another game that I played a while back called Rattlebones. It's essentially kind of the same style of game where you're building your dice, but in that game you have 3 dice and you have to choose which 2 you're rolling every time. So there's a little more of like, oh, which ones do I upgrade? But it's, this is different. Like that one's kind of more of a roll and move where you're just like going around a track and wherever you land, that's what you get. This is like, okay, semi-worker placement where I'm going to go here, and if you're in that spot, I'm going to bump you off and you go back to the center, or, I'm going to go over here and, buy stuff. Like, it's not a true worker placement, but, there is that action,
it's like that element is there.
Yeah, exactly. You're moving a worker guy. So I really enjoy it. I love dice games. I always feel lucky when I'm rolling. I'm like, come on, Daddy needs a new pair of shoes. Oh, 2 coins, like that's not good enough.
You can't buy shoes with that.
Yeah. So
maybe at Payless since they're closing.
Yeah.
And this video is now dated. I definitely am with these guys. I love this game. It was really simple. It was really light. But it was so much fun. It's one of those, like, it's kind of like I enjoy watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like, it's a dumb show, but it's mindless entertainment. It's that instant gratification of rolling tons of dice and getting tons of resources, and it just made it fun. Even the presentation of all of it, where you've got your nice little, the boards are cut for places to put your cubes, and the fact that, like, this thing that holds all of the dice faces, like the sleeve that goes over it, and then it comes with a little like hairband to keep it all together.
And you can put that in your hair while you're playing the game.
And even the fact that it fits in the box, and then the box artwork, it molds into the board. I'm excited to see how the expansion incorporates that into it, because it's not going to ruin it. The expansion's just going to make it better, I hope.
So second market that's up here. It's got
that would
sky
be
bridge.
Awesome.
Yeah, you have another piece that sticks out here, and you have to put the expansion box to hold it out, and you put it in there. Yeah. Ideas.
Everything about this game is a blast, and so if you enjoy playing fun games, we definitely recommend that you pick this up by clicking the purchase link in the description box down below.
And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored. Rolling dice and getting some stuff.
Sup, nerds? I'm Aaron.
Wes.
Oh, see, it doesn't work. I can't go first.
No.